Hey guys, TommyBryson here, and I held off on this video for a very long time because there's stuff in this video that I honestly didn't want to share, but for a very long time, I thought I was a loser and a quitter because I stopped trying to get rich. And I realized that trying to get rich is one of the hardest, most complicated, difficult, unfulfilling, never-ending tasks that even once you accomplish, you're still viable to lose everything because most people that pursue this goal, they end up not understanding that basically what it takes to be rich or to get rich, for example, taking on risk is not what it takes to actually sustain that level of wealth, which is being risk averse. Now, I don't want you guys to think, well, Tommy, you are officially done. You are a loser now, because honestly, if you stop trying to be rich, that means that what's the whole point of having a financial channel? In reality, by all standards, I am a part of the 1% in my age group by not just income, but also net worth. And in the age group of a lot of like 50 years old, whatever it is, okay? And I'm not saying that to show off, but I'm telling you to tell you this, okay? I am not a special person. I grew up in a third world country, a single parent household that went through a lot of stuff that maybe one day I'll tell you guys about. But by all standards, I'm also not smart because I've taken IQ tests and I'm like, can I get better at this stuff? But in all reality, I am what I am. But overall, by all standards, I should not be where I am. And I am where I am because I had to put in a lot of work, and usually more work than the average person, because again, I'm not as smart potentially as the average person. Things take a while to actually get into this noggin of mine, okay? But in this video, the whole goal is for me to show you the lessons I learned along the way of trying to become rich per se, but in reality, achieving financial freedom. Something that my grandpa had been chasing, for example, for the past 45 years, has yet to accomplish it and cannot retire soundly, and I did it in 7 years. And I'm 95% there. And if you watch this video all the way through, I guarantee you're going to learn something very valuable that I wish I saw when I first got started, so I could have avoided a lot of the dumb stuff that I basically did trying to get rich very quickly, okay? Terrible, terrible, terrible idea. And by the way, the evidence was always in the videos. I always put it somewhere in the videos of where I was in life, but no one noticed it, but you will know what I'm talking about by the end of this video. As always, smash the like button because this video needs to get out there and it helps a lot with the algorithm. And also, if it's your first time watching this channel, then subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you're notified. We talk about money, making money, and investing, all that good stuff every single week on this channel. Now, the very first thing, guys, is that my goal in the very beginning was always to get rich. And rich was very weird because I didn't really have a figure in mind. I just knew I wanted to have a lot of money and I didn't want to be broke. I wanted to buy whatever I want to buy whenever I wanted to buy it, okay? And I was willing to put in a lot of work to actually accomplish it. Now, a lot of people tend to think that, Tommy, well, you made most of your money from YouTube, and that's not the full picture. You see, in reality, what most people don't know is that my first money came from a standard job that I basically saved up a lot of money. That was basically work study when I was in college. I also worked as a analyst thing, for example, in a gym company thing, like doing data analyst or whatever. What are you going on? Like minimum wage job stuff. And I saved up a lot of money there too. And I also had a business with over 30 clients and so on that made me around $8,000. And when I cashed out of the business, I basically made around $100,000 overall. But all this stuff sounds cool like on paper, but it was hours and hours and hours and hours of me also going to the city to try to do side hustles, of me wearing the same clothes every single day that I basically bought from Goodwill. All the stuff, no one really saw it. And me at the same time trying to build up, for example, my YouTube channel by posting every single day for 2 years without stopping whatsoever. No vacation, no breaks. Now that's just, for example, what it took me to accomplish this goal of I want to get rich, I want to get wealthy, and all while doing it, taking on a lot of risk to basically try to make a lot more money, a lot more faster. Now, the very worst thing that happened to me was that nothing bad ever happened to me. And it was going to happen to me. But the more risk I took on, the more money I made. And the more money I made. And the more money I made. I never had a moment when I was like, well, I took this risk, I lost the money, I learned. I never had that learn my lesson. So that meant that if I didn't learn my lesson on my own, I would have learned it at the top and it would have cost me everything. Because those sacrifices weren't just, for example, with my time, but I was becoming one of those people that as my wallet got larger, so did my waistline. I got fat. I became obese basically. My relationships were very thin. I didn't really have a lot of people around me. I worked too much. I didn't go visit my parents for my parent. My dad got sick. I couldn't visit him. And then he passed away. And that hurt me like crazy. And then living with my mom and my sister, I didn't even know them because all I did was just work, work, work. And my girlfriend at the time, we didn't really have anything going on, right? Because all I was so focused on was work, 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 and also on the future. That's what it cost me. Not just the time, but it was costing me my health, my relationships, and everything else. And sometimes I think about it and I almost want to cry, but in reality, this quote kind of changed my entire thinking. And in reality, one big thing was, guys, that as I accomplish a goal, I would kind of just, well, change that goal, make it bigger. If I wanted to make $5,000, well, now it's $6,000, then $7,000, then $8,000 a month. And then I was making a lot more money per month, right? And it kept going up and up and up and up. And other areas of my life was just going down and down and down. And when I hear myself saying this, and I picture my old self hearing this, my first thought would be, well, I'd rather be crying in a Lambo than crying in a Toyota. So it's such a stupid idea. Like, it doesn't have to be either or. That's not the whole point, okay? And I was so stupid back then also. That's why I'm very harsh on myself, because I realize that some of you might be watching this video saying like, well, I gotta work hard because I gotta get to where I'm going. Like, there's a way to get there. Like, I'm not telling you don't try to get money and stuff. I know this is important. Like, it's what I study. It's what I do, right? So I get it. But it's not just that. And you're going to realize that by the end of this video. But when did I realize that I was heading the wrong way? Okay? When did I actually realize that? Well, in reality, I'll tell you the truth. It wasn't just one moment. It was multiple moments. But the one moment I can kind of think back to was Dave Ramsey. I was doing research on him to read a book about him to then talk about him on the channel. And I don't like Dave Ramsey. But I read the book, which was, for example, The Millionaire Makeover. And I was like, this is me. This is what I'm doing. And I kind of went ahead and I did more research. I studied the lives of my mentors. I was like, I don't want to end up like this. And I saw, for example, my past and what's going on. I looked in the mirror and I was like, whoa, what's going on here? I was like 215 pounds, by the way, which is ridiculous. And like all those things started clicking and firing things off in my brain. And I realized that the more money I was making, and at the time I think it was like maybe like $10,000 per month or like $12,000 per month, I just kept building a house of cards. I kept seeing that I had this plan. I was gonna buy this 3-family home for like, I think it was like $700,000 or $800,000. That was supposed to be like a $5,000 a month, something like that. I was also gonna buy a Lamborghini Urus for like around $200,000, but then in reality, I'm doing it away to actually like be smart about it, either lease it or get it at the depreciation term so I can actually drive it for 2 years, then give it back and then not lose that much money on it. It was a whole scenario here. And I was trying to live a lifestyle that was going to be a lot more expensive, obviously, right? The whole thing was, guys, as my income went up, well, so did my expenses, whether they were investments or whatever there was, because it was still risky. And so did the quality of my life just started to go down and down and down. It was such a crazy moment when I realized that. And it was kind of devastating. It wasn't like what I was doing wasn't working. It was working very well. But I noticed that the more I kept building, again, it was building a house of cards because I was kind of using all of my income at my disposal, being safe in some ways. But in reality, I was just taking on a lot of risk. And it just had to take just one moment to ruin everything. And that moment came. And it was the pandemic, okay? And when the pandemic happened, I could have potentially lost everything, but I didn't. Because before the pandemic came, I had changed my mind on a lot of things, and all the information and the evidence was basically in the videos. Now, I want to give you guys one quote that I kind of wrote down here. I don't know if somebody wrote this before, but I kind of just wrote it. If nobody's wrote it, then I made it up. If somebody did wrote it, I don't really care. Whatever it is, okay? But it says, the bravest thing a man can do is realize, what does this say? Is realize he's going the wrong way and turn back. But most men continue because they think it's already too late. You can start off wrong, but you can also finish right. And that takes a lot of bravery because once I realized that, yo, I'm going the wrong way here. Like, if I keep doing this, I'm gonna build something massive, 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 but then I'm gonna have a very high probability of losing everything. And I don't wanna risk what I have and what I need for what I don't have and what I don't need. And because that would be very stupid. And all my mentors would have told me the exact same thing. But you know, when you kind of learn from people, you take what you like, you leave what you don't like, and you kind of build your own thing. And as long as it's working, you think you're a genius. But I wasn't a genius. I was an idiot in the disguise of a genius, and I thought I was a genius. So it was very hard to figure out I was an idiot, basically, okay? But overall, once I realized that, everything started changing. Now, this transformation was happening live before your eyes and you weren't even seeing it, although I was showing very obvious signs in the videos. Now, this clip of this video is literally from 3 years ago. And 3 years ago, I had a vision board right here and it was always blurred because these videos were very bad quality back then, but I had a house that was worth $500,000. I had a Tesla Model X, and the more money I made, the more things I actually wanted. And that's when 2 years ago then, you see, for example, things are a lot more clearer. Everything is starting to look a lot more nicer. Again, I'm still working like crazy here. But then you see, for example, hey, I want a Lamborghini Urus, $200,000. I want more subscribers. I want this house. Now it's $545,000. And behind the scenes, I'm also trying to figure out a way to buy a $700 to $800 property. But then the changes started happening slowly. And then today, you see a completely different person. I lost 45 pounds. All of a sudden, you see a $13,000 car. Yes, I have career goals. I have by the way, I bought a house, if you guys don't know, for $130,000 in cash. I put in $50,000 to $60,000 in it. So total, less than $200,000, which is like half of what I thought I actually wanted. And then my main priority, as you can see here, it's a lot more family. By the way, if you ever wondered, this guy back here in the back of my videos is my dad. Over here is my dad. And it's kind of like a reminder that always remember, family is super, super important. So overall, what is the point of this video? How did this transformation change me? And how did I accomplish financial freedom without chasing to be rich anymore? The truth is, what I learned is that if you're trying to do the right thing and you're doing the right things, you're going to get there. And it's okay to get there maybe like a little slower than most, but you're still going to get there. That's the point. And to actually worry about the important things. Now, I don't mean slow down and just don't worry about stuff. Like, no, you still give a full effort, but you also give a full effort when it comes to the other parts of your life, like health, love and happiness and so on. Wealth is not the only part here. So my main change realized was basically, hey, I'm building a house of cards here. So I said, I got to eliminate all this stuff. So I flushed out the business that was very risky. I took it around $100,000 off of it. And I stopped doing all the activities that I was doing that were very risky, but were making me a lot of money too. And then I eliminated all the debt basically. So eliminate all the debt kind of said, hey, all right, that's done. I don't have to worry about those things anymore. But most importantly also, I eliminated all the ideas of getting into more debt to get more money, but then have a larger margin of potentially losing everything. So I stopped those activities too. And then I started saving up for emergencies because I always thought that, well, nothing bad is going to happen possibly, right? Everything's going so well. I saved up 6 months, then I saved up 12 months worth of emergencies in case things actually went wrong. And then thirdly, I stopped being so aggressive with my investing. And that sounds kind of like weird because kind of like, well, Tommy, don't you want to be more aggressive with your investments? I said, no, I just did 20%. And I slowed down because I realized that the investments were only one part and I couldn't control them overall because the way I was investing back then, or still invest now, is the boring way. So you build up a portfolio based on the overall market. It can drop at any point. So you can't really control those things, right? You just know that over the long term, you're going to make money. So I just said, hey, 20% is fine, but putting in all my money in here. And then once I retire, whatever, having that drop 50%, what am I going to do then? So I said just 20%. And then I focused on, hey, I want to buy this home, pay it off as fast as possible. So I saved up a ton of money. To me, that was like around $130,000. Well, we're on like $190 also. And I put that towards the house. I bought it, remodeled it. I'm moving in by Tuesday. And that home is fully paid off. And today, from passive income, I bring in like around like $30,000 or $35,000, right? Depending on the market. I bring in that from passive income every single year on my expenses because I have no debt. I have nothing to worry about as far as like home expenses and so on. They're less than like $1,500 a month. So what happens is the my new definition of rich stop being Lamborghini, big house, nice wife, like one of these hot wives and so on and so on. Like it stopped being all that stuff, okay? And it focused more on being like, hey, the actual things that matter, which are shelter, utilities, grocery, transportation, and healthy relationships and so on. So by having a paid off home, by having very little wants and so on, I basically accomplished it a lot faster because I can cover my expenses with my passive income a lot faster, still have a job that I actually enjoy and like here, make a good amount of money too, and have business and so on. But this way, I have a lot more balance. And I can, if I want to, literally, I can travel for 6 months out of the year. I'm not saying this to show off again. And you know me, so you should know this too. But I'm telling you this because it's possible to achieve this. And I have friends that heard what I said and said, Tommy, that's great for you, but I'm not doing it. That also make a good amount of money too, by the way, and can get there fast. But they rather go ahead and say, I want to use OPM. I want to buy this property and this property and this property. I have a friend. He has around $1.2 million in debt, makes around like $3,000, I think, a month from it, or $2,000 a month. And he carries all this risk, and he got very lucky that things didn't go bad, but it could have gone bad. And it's like it never ends because the more you have, the more you want, then you want to get something else, and you think you're going to stop, but you usually don't, okay? So what I learned was to be a lot more basic, a lot more simple, a lot less financially smart, and to just achieve financial freedom for myself, my version of wealthy, and then once I'm done with that, then just build up more naturally, organically, and just get there step by step. But don't forget, the right thing will always be the right thing, and eventually will bring the results that you're actually looking for. Don't stop pursuing it. That's the idea. But overall, guys, I hope this video provides some value because I know a lot of people out there that all they want to do is work, and they want to take on a lot of risks and do whatever it takes, and they don't care about losing money or whatever. Don't be an idiot, because when you're first starting out, the money you make, it doesn't come, for example, from passive income. It comes from active income. So every time you lose money, you're basically losing time, and that's not what you want to do. So learn to preserve your capital, invest it in a good way. And if you're an average person, like most of us are, and you make average money, focus on having no debt, focus on having an emergency fund fully funded, and then focus on having, for example, some investment build up over time. But then also focus on, for example, saving up to actually buy a home and pay it off as fast as possible. The man who has the least amount of wants is more likely to be successful because he can get there a lot faster because he has little wants, okay? Now, I have an entire course on this stuff, okay? Not trying to sell you anything, gave you all the information already, but if you do want to get this course, the link is down below, and it gives you everything organized with everything you need to actually get started here and to go from A to Z and achieve financial freedom. And for the average person, it's going to take them between 10 to 15 years. I'm not going to lie to you, but 10 to 15 years is a lot, well, even less potentially if you're very aggressive like I was initially and you're willing to sacrifice things, okay? Which I did, like a lot of sacrifices, and it wasn't easy. And sometimes I'm like, was it worth it? And I would have rather been here 2 years later and spend time with my dad than be here right now like 2 years earlier, if you know what I mean, okay? So you gotta make those compromises. But it's a lot better than being 65 and still not being here, because the freedom you get is amazing. Again, course is down below. There's a discount code also. And thanks for watching. As always, comment down below any questions that you have, or if you disagree with me. Now, I want you to comment. When you comment freedom. That way I know you are a real person and not a robot. So freedom plus your comment, or just freedom to support the channel and the algorithm, okay? As always, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified. Up here is another video, and over here is my face. You can subscribe. And as always, long-term team officially out. What people don't know is that the button just messed up. The button's gone. It looks like I'm doing it on purpose, huh?